this is actually going to record for, or if it'll record at all, because my connection is crap. But we get to see the women through this, how all of them are liars. All of them. When they say they'll do something, what they really mean is that they're going to ghost me for 2 to 3 weeks before ever getting back to me. They'll make empty promises. But if these women actually gave a crap, they would have helped turn it in right away instead of making excuses over and over and over. And that's what we've taught women. This is why women are not held accountable for anything. We've taught them that it's okay for them to be liars. It's okay for them to manipulate over and over and over again. We've taught them that they are not to be held responsible to their word, that when they keep their word, oh wait, they don't. We've taught them they don't have to. They are not to be held responsible for their own decisions. On Natalie's final public post, you get to see how many people just assume my guilt. To this day, not one person has stopped to hear my story with the intent of understanding. Not one. This country is a disgusting place, but it is primarily that way because of women. We do not hold women to any acceptable social standard. We do not hold women accountable for bullying. We don't hold women accountable for rape. We don't hold women accountable for child molestation. We don't hold women accountable for beating their husbands or for beating their children. We don't hold women accountable. We are expected to believe any sob story a woman tells, despite the fact that we all know chances are pretty good she's a goddamn liar. Chances are pretty good that if she shows up with a shiner, she was probably beating on her husband and he got sick of it. But is that what she's going to tell you? No, she's going to tell you her husband beat her for no reason. Huh. Interesting. Does anybody bring up the fact that if he'd have beat her, she'd never showed up to work? No offense, but I've never seen a man go full bore against a woman, ever. That's not to say that I've never seen a man hit a woman. I've seen that. But I've never seen a man go full bore on a woman. When a fight happens between a man and another man, they both fight. When a fight happens between a man and a woman, it's primarily her fighting and him being defensive. And that's in nearly all of the situations that I've seen between women and men. Whenever I've seen a man just straight up cold cock a woman, it's always a coward like that guy in the Dalles, Oregon, hitting her in the back of the head while she's trying to walk away. I'm not saying there are no men who are problems. I'm not saying that all men are honest, because that's for surely not the case. But you get to see the ones who look for an excuse to be harmful. You can see how dehumanizing it is to be homeless. In Natalie's situation, do people call me homeless guy, crazy guy, creepy guy? My name is Sean. And what's so creepy about defending myself? What's so creepy about speaking up? About being fucking assaulted? Now let's take a look at Bryn. She hasn't kept her word. She doesn't keep her word, and none of these women do. When they don't keep their word, they ghost you. It's your fault they didn't keep their word. It's your fault that they ghosted you. Now, Bryn's got plenty of excuses, and none of those excuses are me. It's all I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick. Kids, 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 kids. Y'all have prefabricated excuses, and every woman has the same prefabricated excuses. And it all comes to, oh, poor me. And you get to see how many of these women claim that they would help me, claim that they cared, and then they call and they talk about themselves nonstop. Or everything that I say that is important, they want to interrupt with a story about themselves. These women didn't intend on helping me. They intend on abusing me as a free therapist. Not fucking okay. How many of these women got a hold of me just to play head games? Well, Shannon Alvarado, for one. She didn't take it seriously. She couldn't fucking stay sober one goddamn day. One goddamn day. Let's take a look at Kara Johnson Miles. This lady was supposed to be an autism advocate. She wasn't. She was a web sleuth. Women are this way because we taught them to be this way. Every time you let that pretty girl get away with doing something horrible because she's pretty, you're showing what a horrible person you are. You get to see with Natalie Bollinger how people want to type about looks. It's all about looks. Oh, she's so pretty. She's so pretty. She's so pretty. He looks like a chimo. He looks like a chimo. He looks like a pedophile. Women are fucking disgusting. Good luck finding one that ain't. Good luck finding a woman that isn't superficial. Hell, good luck finding a woman that's not delusional as fuck. Only a woman would promise to help you how you need, have you invest thousands of dollars in getting there and jumping through those hoops, and then throw in your face that she gave you a goddamn sandwich. No. That's not what you promised. Shannon Alvarado will literally turn everything into an argument. I got to give Bryn the opportunity to act like an adult before giving out her phone number. Giving out her phone number is not something that I want to do. But if it's necessary, it is necessary. She is a witness. She did promise to come forward, and she has not done so. She's just wasted time. Let's call her up and try talking to her like a human being. Just because she screwed up doesn't mean she's evil.
Please leave your message for 9719.
Well, we'll try not to give it out. Hey, Bryn, it's Sean. I could really use some help turning that stuff in. You haven't been replying. Haven't called back. Haven't nothing. I mean, literally, you're just helping my predators to get away. Now, I only give out people's phone numbers on the internet when it's absolutely necessary. and it's becoming absolutely necessary to post your number on the internet, and that's not something I want to do, Bryn. You see how nice I was? And what are the chances that she's going to call back? They're not real great. But she is a witness to the situations. Several of them, matter of fact, at this point. But, like most women, she doesn't come through. She procrastinates. She twiddles her thumbs and wastes time, makes empty promises, and then ghosts you. Looks like someone's calling me. Hello?
Hi, is this Sean?
Who's calling?
This is Adult Protective Services. We got your voicemail yesterday. I'm calling you back.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. This is actually the first call back that I've gotten.
Well, I talked to you 2 weeks ago, so I know that I've talked to you and called you back in the past.
That would have been me calling you guys. I'm still taking the abuse. I'm still taking the harassment. I'm still taking the threats.
Okay.
I still don't have a safe environment, and I can't safely go to the police. I've tried it. I've got a lot of evidence. I've also got a lot of witnesses, but those witnesses, the police have not bothered to talk to. They don't bother to get any of the information. They just talk over me. Now, I've been assaulted since I've been in this town. I've been assaulted probably close to 60 times, if not more. My vehicle has been assaulted at least 100 times. I mean, I record these things, but the police, they don't care. They dismiss it, they talk over me, or they insist that I jump through a bunch of hoops that I'm obviously incapable of. I don't have any money. I'm a disabled person. I've gone in repeatedly to Northwest Senior and Disability Services and TFCC because that's where the police keep trying to pawn me off because they don't want to do their jobs. They tell me that I got to go to TFCC and TCCHC and all these other places, and I've been to all of them for like 18 months. I've been jumping around in these circles.
Right.
They keep changing the subject to housing, and the thing is that when you're abused, you don't have to jump through a bunch of housing stuff. You don't have to become an Oregon resident in order to turn in crimes, and it's not legal to make me do those things either. But I've been forced to do those things, and still cops won't do their jobs. The people at Northwest.
Let me ask you. So let me ask you a question before we go into a lot of the details. So in the past, it has been determined that you don't have any physical disability diagnoses.
I do have ma'am, I do have physical disability diagnoses. That's the problem, is that nobody would look at it. All right. Every time I went in there, they wanted to start over from scratch. I went in there with my own paperwork showing them.
Don't start yelling at me.
I'm not yelling. I'm trying to make sure that, ma'am, I'm trying to make sure that I'm heard. I'm not yelling. I am absolutely not yelling. Ma'am, you're accusing me of yelling. You're accusing me of yelling. Stop accusing me of yelling. Stop accusing me of yelling. I'm using a normal voice. I am not yelling. I have not yet yelled. I haven't even raised my voice at you yet. Now, I do have vehicles going by and you talking over me, and it is very important for you to actually listen to the things I'm saying. I am disabled. I do have disabilities. I do have diagnoses, and I did go down to that office with the paperwork to show them, and they refused to look.
If we can have a conversation where I can ask you questions and you can speak, and I can ask you questions and you can speak, then we can do that. I'm not going to have you talking over me. And
ma'am, you've talked over me the entire time, disrespected me, dismissed me 100% of this conversation. It shouldn't be a conversation. I am a victim. I'm trying to tell you what's going on. What you're doing is talking over me and making excuses and disrespecting me and talking down to me and making false accusations of being yelled at. What you are doing is playing victim, and you just got on the phone. What the hell is wrong with you? Jesus goddamn Christ. This is why we can't go to women for help. They don't listen. We are disrespected from the very start. This woman wants to outright lie to me about the situations. Absolutely not. So what are we to do about this situation? Hmm? Should we call up and ask to talk to a supervisor? Should we? See, that's what I was telling you about them trying to get you re diagnosed. Yes, I have diagnoses. They wouldn't look at them. They intentionally went out of their way to ignore my diagnoses, to not look at any of the paperwork, to not look at any of the evidence, to not listen to me, and to try to shove me into the housing ring. Meanwhile, it's a housing ring. It doesn't mean that you ever get into housing. It means that you go back for appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment for nothing to ever happen. So, what do we do? Ah, that one is from the Dalles, Oregon. That's where that phone number. Oh no, Dallas, Oregon. Let's see where Dallas, Oregon is. As a man, you cannot get help because these services are not set up to help men. They're set up to take advantage of men. They're set up to take advantage of men's work ethic. They're set up to take advantage of men's responsibilities. That's right, those things that women don't think that they should have to do, but it's a survival skill. Your tire, right? This is why you can't make these phone calls alone, especially as a male. You're going to get sexism right off the start. See, the problem with the BS here, just like anywhere else, when you try to tell on cops, they try to have their friends re diagnose you with something else. Oh, well, if we call him crazy. Yeah, I got my disability because of physical disabilities. Police officers in the Bollingers been trying to get me diagnosed as schizophrenic for the last 7 years because I fucking tell on them. Now, that woman from Dallas, Oregon, we do have to call her back. Thank goodness we have the conversation recorded, right? Let me get a pen. All right. Now I have a pen handy. Let's see. View channel. All right, good. Looks like it is playing. And it looks like it's holding. So let's make this Filton call. And
This is a trilingual English
Russian message. Northwest Senior and Disability Services records all
Told
calls
you.
for quality assurance. Todas las llamadas estarían grabadas para garantía de calidad. Llevan keys de piso de обучения y контроля качества.
This is the direct line of LYNN with Adult Protective Services. If you are looking to make a new report or follow up on an old report, please call the main Adult Protective Services line at 800-846-9165. Again, 800-846-9165. This voicemail is not monitored daily, so it is better if you call that number and follow up. Again, it's 800-846-9165. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sean Schwartz. I got a call from one of the people at your fake service. You guys are not social services. What you've done is highly inappropriate. I had a woman call me up this morning, dismiss me outright, and lie to me. This is the problem with having to go to services that have committed felonies against me. Northwest Senior and Disability Services knowingly, willingly, and intelligently committed felonies against me because they didn't want to do their jobs. They wanted to make money. They wanted to fleece the American public. Now, the lady who called me this morning was very disrespectful, talked down to me like I was a dog, accused me of yelling at her. And yes, absolutely, LYNN, I am going to assume that it's you, and I'm going to press charges against you at my nearest convenience. Now, obviously, as a disabled and at risk adult, you people are going out of your way to take advantage of me and take advantage of things that are untrue. And that is not okay either. I do have physical disabilities. I got my disability money because of disabilities. And this lady lying to me outright is not acceptable. Now, since the lady here, LYNN, is capable of taking the phone calls, obviously called me from this number. Obviously, LYNN is the person who should be put in prison for this. And not just her. I am a human being, lady. And accusing me of yelling because you wanted to disrespect me and talk over me and diminish me as a human being, that is disgusting. And for you to lie to me over and over again and not allow me to speak, you are a disgusting person. What the hell is wrong with you?
Thank you for leaving a message. Mailbox has now stopped recording.
Now we're going to call again so we can get that number they want. Obvious that lady is nuttier than squirrel turds and does not deserve her position of power.
Trilingual English, Spanish, Russian message. Northwest Senior and Disability Services records all calls for quality assurance. Todas las llamadas estarían grabadas para garantía de calidad. Llevan keys de piso de обучения y контроля качества.
Adult Protective Services.
Hello, I was calling back to get the phone numbers so that I can turn in Adult Protective Services for violating my rights. My name is Sean Schwartz, and there's, I believe, an 800 number that I was calling back to receive.
Okay, so the main number for APS, if that's what you're looking for, I'm not sure. 800.
Okay.
846.
Okay.
9165.
Thank you. I gotta turn in some people from your office this morning.
Okay. Is there something I can help you with?
Yes, ma'am. I was yelled at and disrespected this morning and accused of yelling and talked over. And that's the thing, is that Northwest Senior and Disability Services committed crimes against me 17, 18 months ago now when I first got to this town. I've been trying to turn them in since I got here, but all of the services here, the people are friends with each other. They're not going to turn each other in despite what the mandated reporter laws require of them.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of questions that we have to ask. So if I don't know, if we talk in circles and things like that and the questions can't be asked, that can be problematic.
Well, the thing that's most problematic is that when a victim is trying to tell you what's going on and they're talked over and dismissed and diminished and disrespected. Like, I have physical disabilities. I was diagnosed with physical disabilities, and I get a disability check for physical disabilities. Northwest Senior and Disability Services, I went in there. I tried showing them my paperwork. They refused to take a look at it. The same thing with TFCC. They just sent me back and forth for months and months and months while I took abuse. I still take frequent abuse. People smash in my windows. They beat on me. They threaten to kill me. They threaten to kill witnesses to the other situations.
Okay. Who is it that's abusing you?
Well, for starters, Northwest Senior and Disability Services will make sure we have them on there. One of the guys who keeps assaulting me and threatening me is a guy named Chris Stafford. Another one, his name is Andrew Wolnez, and I have a protection order against him, but he won't stop breaking it. I can't go to the police alone because I've tried to turn in the police here. They have no incentive to do their jobs and have shown outright that they're not going to.
Okay. So this Andrew guy is like a local citizen?
Yep, same thing with Chris Stafford.
Okay. And are they just like, how do you know them? Are they friends or the previous
No,
friends,
they were never friends. There was a woman named Natalie Bollinger who was killed in Colorado, and nobody felt that they had to do their jobs. And as a result, people tried to pretend that I killed her. Well, they caught the guy that killed her. He's in prison for it. But it's real popular on the internet, and everybody downplays that. People harm me everywhere I go because the internet is everywhere. People see this everywhere that I go. They recognize me everywhere that I go. They accuse me of being a stalker, accuse me of being a murderer, accuse me of being a rapist, accuse me of being a child molester, and I'm none of those things.
Okay.
I've never been charged with any form of child abuse. I've never been charged with any form of sexual anything. I've never been charged with murder. And it is not okay that people keep on assaulting me and threatening me, and that includes the local police.
Okay. Well, as far as the police goes, you'd have to speak with internal affairs and the police.
They don't have internal affairs here, and they intimidated me, threatened, harassed, and intimidated me for trying to turn them in, which is felony.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to do that. Well, I also recorded them doing so I have the evidence of it.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know we don't have any kind of jurisdiction over the police. You need to talk to the supervisors, the internal affairs there.
I've already done that. They don't have internal affairs. I just said that. You're talking in circles.
Okay. No, I heard you. I'm just reiterating that is...
I heard you the first time. I'm not deaf, and that's something that's real important to note. I'm not deaf. I did hear you the first time. If I'm trying to explain to you something that's important and you literally just repeat the same thing 5 times in a row, you're going out of your way to just be annoying. And I'm trying real hard here because I'm being abused. Whether you're annoying or not, I still have to talk to you.
Okay. So the difficulty is, though, is that we have to make sure that you're understanding what we're saying. So sometimes we have to repeat ourselves just to make sure. So if you can say, I understand that, or I heard what you said, that would be helpful in this conversation, okay?
Well, since I did respond to your question, it's pretty obvious that I did hear it. My responses were directly to your question. And when you make statements over the top of me like that, you're assuming that that's the situation. The fact is, I've already tried that, and they've already broken the law and denied me my rights. That's one of the things that I'm supposed to go to you guys for. When we're abused, the police and social services are supposed to come together immediately. They're supposed to work together immediately, but that's not what happened. The police pawn me off on you guys. You say it's not your job, it's the police's job. I go to the police. They say it's not their job, it's your job. I go to you guys. You say it's not your job, it's their job. Meanwhile, all of you are getting paid for this. All of you are eating up my time, and nothing is being done about the physical assaults. Nothing has been done about the sexual assaults. Nothing has been done about the threats against my life. I can't even safely turn in a police report. I've tried over and over again. I'm forced to go in alone, and the same officers that I'm trying to turn in do the same disrespectful things. What they're doing is felonious. It is against the law for them to do that to a disabled person. It's also against the law for them to repeatedly tell Northwest Senior and Disability Services that I'm not disabled and not to look at my paperwork, because Northwest Senior and Disability Services repeatedly refused to look at my paperwork despite the fact I have tried over and over and over again to show them the evidence, and they have refused to look at it. There is a big difference between me not having the diagnoses and Northwest Senior and Disability Services trying to have me diagnosed with something that makes it okay the police didn't do their jobs. That's not ever acceptable. And it's not Northwest Senior and Disability Services' job to cover for the crimes of others.
Okay. All right, so let's get back on what's happening now. Because again, so you said you understand we don't have any jurisdiction with the police, so we're going to go ahead and let that issue lie. So let's move on to what's going on with Andrew and Chris, okay?
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
So you said that they are breaking your windows. Do you mean like on your vehicle or your home, or what?
I don't have a home. I've been forced into homelessness because of Natalie Bollinger getting shot in the head.
Okay. So are you just staying in your vehicle?
Sometimes. There's also a feller who's been helping me out a little bit because he's got a place where I can plug in my computer and actually utilize it. Most of the time the internet doesn't work here, so I have to go to the library to do that.
Okay. And when is the last time you had an interaction with those two?
Andrew Wolnez would have been about a week ago, and Chris Stafford would have been about a week and a half ago. Maybe, no, it would have been 5 days ago, I think.
Okay, and what happened then?
Chris Stafford was driving by screaming the N-word out the window at me and screaming Chimo out the window at me. He's done this multiple times.
Okay. Do you have any contact information for him, his phone number, address, or anything?
I don't. I have his phone number in the phone, but I can't access the number while I'm talking to somebody.
Okay. Okay, what about for Andrew?
For Andrew, I have some paperwork here. I have literally 15 bags of paper evidence of abuse from one end of the country to the other. And that's one of the biggest issues, is that I keep getting lied to by these services. They try to bully me into moving somewhere else and tell me that, oh, well, you can turn it in from anywhere. And when I move to somewhere else, I'm told, oh, well, you can't turn it in because you're in a different jurisdiction. And these head games need to stop. This is federal. These are federal crimes being committed by the police and Northwest Senior and Disability Services. TFCC has committed felonies as well.
Okay. Oh, well, that's very far, like I said, very far out of my jurisdiction. So I'm just more concerned about
the abuse is abuse no matter who commits it. If I'm sexually assaulted by a police officer, it's the same as a sexual assault by anyone else. A physical assault by a police officer is the same as an assault by anyone else. They don't get to commit heinous crimes and not get in trouble for it. That's not okay. And as far as these other services go, there is literally no oversight for these places. That can't be okay, and that can't be legal, because there's supposed to be oversight. People like me should not be falling through the cracks and being abused just because nobody wants to do their job, or because they want to reword everything into something that makes it so they believe they don't have to do their job. If I'm assaulted and I tell a mandated reporter that I've been assaulted, and they say, oh, well, you believe you were assaulted, what that does is they're trying to break out of what they legally are obligated to do. And that's not okay. That's not acceptable. That puts at-risk adults at even further risk of abuse. That allows the predator to get away to do it again and again and again. And the more they do it, the more brazen they get with it, and the more openly and freely they do it. And for the most part, that's how most of my predators end up getting caught.
Okay. So I don't necessarily want to repeat myself because you said you heard me the first time, but I do not have jurisdiction over the police. So speaking about harassment or assault or anything that's occurring with the police, we don't have jurisdiction in that matter. So I'm sorry I'm repeating myself because I know that you don't like that, but
ma'am, if they were acting in their official capacity, then that would be true, but they didn't act in their official capacity.
Now you're talking over me. So I ask that you give me the same respect you're asking for, okay? So again, we don't have any kind of jurisdiction over the police. So speaking about the police and the issues you're having with the police...
I'm going to repeat myself again, okay? It doesn't matter who harmed me, what their position is. If they harmed me, they harmed me.
Okay. And I'm letting you know that Adult Protective Services does not have jurisdiction in that matter.
They also apparently don't have jurisdiction over themselves, and the police don't have jurisdiction over you. All you guys do is cover each other's backsides. This is not okay. This is felonious. This is illegal.
So I am in this job because I really, really enjoy helping people, and I am trying very, very, very hardly to help you. So I'm trying to get some information from you, but again, I can't talk in circles with you.
That's what you're doing, though.
And focus on the issues that we need to talk about, okay?
The issues we need to talk about is abuse against at-risk adults. That includes systemic abuse. I am the at-risk adult. I have both physical disabilities as well as mental disabilities.
And Andrew, that's the question that I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then let's focus on that, okay? Because I can assist you with that part. So let's focus on that.
Yes, ma'am. There's about a dozen more. They're not the only ones.
Okay. So you said that Chris drove by and called you the N-word and a chimo. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And I have multiple recordings of this. There's also several assaults I need to turn in that happened on the 1st and 2nd. The man who assaulted me on the 1st did so at the... March? Yes, ma'am. His name is John Napier, Napier, and he attacked me at the Shell station on Saturday the 1st at noon. And the witnesses that were there, one of them is a worker named Tyler, and another one is a lady named Amy who works there. Because the cops have not been useful or forthcoming in any sort. He came up behind me and punched me in the back, or hit me in the back. I don't know if it was closed-fisted or not because it was in the back. And then he started threatening to kill me to the guy at the counter. His name is Tyler, and yelling at me about messing with his family, which I haven't been doing. I did tell the truth about them, but that's not against the law, and it's not okay to assault people for telling the truth.
Okay. Did the police show up when that happened?
No, ma'am. The police...
Were they called at all?
Ma'am, when I call the police, they bully me. That's why I have to call you guys, so that I don't get bullied.
Okay. So did Tyler or Amy call the police?
No, ma'am. I had to try to find somebody else to call the police with me, because they, as much as they didn't enjoy that going on in their store, they were more interested in just having it outside of the store.
Okay.
As far as the police conduct, that makes it so that I can't call the police. I can't call 911 without fear of getting threatened, harassed, and intimidated, or even arrested by the police.
Okay. Were you injured when he hit you on the back?
He hit me in a pre-existing injury, so I'm already injured. I'm already physically disabled.
Okay.
I've been getting disability.
You had others that you wanted to report?
Yes, ma'am. The next day, Andrew Walnez has been trying to incite people to violence against me by lying to them. John Stevens, he came up to me and was angry about being on my YouTube channel during one of the assaults by Andrew Walnez. And even though John Stevens had said that he was fine with being recorded and he didn't have anything to hide, the thing is that he was coming down from drugs. So he decided to take it out on me. Now, he also wanted to accuse me of giving out his name on my YouTube channel, which I hadn't. I let him know that I do know his last name and that I've known it for months and that I've chosen not to put it on my YouTube channel because he was a witness who claimed he was going to come forward. Now, instead of listening, he started.
Sorry, that's a different John than. So John Stevens and John Napier are two different.
Yes, ma'am. John Napier is the one who assaulted me at the Shell station on the 1st, and John Stevens assaulted me literally right across the street from there twice on the 2nd. And I got both of those situations recorded as well.
That was March 2nd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was that one reported to the police?
No, ma'am. Again, I tried taking this stuff to the police 17 months ago.
I have to ask. I know. I have to ask, okay?
It's unsafe for me to go to the police. That's going to be my answer for all of those. I have tried calling the police, but they had me arrested for calling 911 back in September of last year. So I was calling 911 about abuse by the police as well as assaults that were happening at the hands of some youth here. They're the ones that Andrew Wolnez wants to use as an excuse to harm me, but he's also accused me of killing a woman named Natalie Bollinger in Colorado as his excuse to assault me. He keeps going. He follows me everywhere I go and screams at people that I'm a pedophile over and over again, trying to get people to harm me, and people are harming me.
Okay. And then were there others, or was that it?
There's a lot of them. Andrew Wolnez has assaulted me on 9 different occasions. 7 of those occasions are recorded on my YouTube channel. His very first 3 assaults were on September 21st of last year. And the last time that he threw something at my vehicle was maybe 6 days ago, 7 days ago. There's a lot of witnesses. One of them, her name is Bryn Webster, and she was going to help me to turn this in at the very beginning of the month, and it's either been she's been sick, or she had to go to the hospital, or someone died, or she's got to watch the kids, or it's always something. And that's the thing, is that it's not that I'm not going to people who say that they'll help me. It's that after they've said they'll help me, maybe these things are happening, maybe they're procrastinating. In either event, I did the right thing. I did what I'm supposed to do as a disabled adult.
Okay.
The police refusing to talk to any of the witnesses. I mean, there's witnesses going back to the very beginning, like Jason Scudder and Jared Scudder and Kara Scudder. There's another really important witness. Her name is Claire Jordan.
And that all happened in Tillamook?
Yes, ma'am. And these people who are harming me are using crimes that were never committed or that I never committed as excuses to physically assault me. I've never been charged with any sort of sex crime, any sort of harm against children, anything of that nature. I've never been charged with murder. And it's been 8 years now of abuse over crimes that were literally never committed. 8 years of people harming me, pretending that I'm a child molester and a murderer as their excuse. 8 years of police officers blowing me off and disrespecting me and dismissing me. 8 years of these police officers and these adult protective services not working together. The police pawn me off on whoever the pretendee adult protective services is, and the pretendee adult protective services says it's not their job to investigate. I need to go to the police. The police tell me, oh, well, you should have called 911. Well, I did call 911. I called 911. The cop showed up, told me to go to Northwest Senior and Disability Services.
Okay.
going to Northwest Senior and Disability Services over assault. Obviously, if Northwest Senior and Disability Services repeatedly tells me that it's not their job to investigate, that I need to go to the police, and I have to tell them repeatedly, I went to the police, they sent me here, it becomes me going in circles, not just talking in circles. I'm having to spend a lot of resources to go to these places and a lot of time to go to these places, only to be talked over when I talk about the expenses of it by being told that these services are free. They're not free. It costs me money to get there, it costs me time to get there, and it costs taxpayer dollars for us to pay these people.
Okay.
Now, I've gone to them about Chris Stafford before because he is a violent felon and he does have firearms, and he is recorded on my YouTube channel talking about his firearms as well as trying to illegally purchase firearms. He's also had protection orders from multiple people because he is obviously a violent person. Now, as far as him being violent with me, that's not okay. The fact that I've got multiple recordings with him getting violent with me is not okay. Bryn was a witness that at the very beginning of the month here that he was throwing rocks at my vehicle and screaming that I'm a chimo and screaming that I'm a murderer and that I stalk little girls. And this is not okay. It is not okay for disabled and at-risk adults to be having to take such unfettered hatred, especially over things that never happened. I get that Natalie Bollinger was angry. I tried to tell on her.